Hi everyone. Well, I do have time to do my other review for Sailor Moon Crystal Act 28 Ripples. The last one I did, I was correct in the first part of it. It was called Act 27 Infinity 1 Part 2, second half. So this will be Act 28 Ripples. So let's kick it off. It picks up right where the last episode left off, where they're trying to get rid of the Deathbusters, and where Hotaru, I forgot to mention in the last episode, she was healing Chibiusa's scratch, and that's something new. I believe in the 90s, we really didn't see Hotaru heal any wound for Chibiusa, so that's new. And I don't know what she used to cover it, but her wound for Chibiusa, I'm going to say it's a handkerchief. I really couldn't tell because it was dark. The scene was dark. So that's different. In the 90s, she didn't really cover up any scratches for Chibiusa. Also, in Act 28, we see that it is Rai's birthday instead of Usagi's, because in the S season for the 90s, they didn't celebrate Sailor Mars' birthday. They celebrated Usagi's, June 30th. So that was what I call in the 90s Kaori Knight's last stand, because that was the last time Kaori Knight tried to get a pure heart in the 90s. Whereas in Crystal, she's kind of controlling the Witches 5, and she's kind of doling out the jobs. So Eugil takes over for this one, and we get to see her kind of take over. Another thing that's different is in the 90s, when we start Season 3, Sailor Mars is having a dream where she sees all the scouts get killed, but she sees 3 glowing objects, 3 pure crystals. And so in the 90s, Sailor Mars and Sailor Pluto have that dream. But in Crystal, Mamoru is having the same dream. It's having the dream of seeing Kaori Knight in front of a fountain, giving direction to the Witches 5. When he wakes up, he sees Usagi and Chibiusa in his bed, which is different because in the 90s that didn't happen. That happens more in Crystal. And also, in Act 28, Usagi does something different. She actually tells Haruka that she looks like a Sailor Scout and a Sailor Guardian, and I keep calling her Hotaru. Haruka keeps laughing. She was laughing. She's like, "That's impossible. I'm not a Sailor Guardian," and stuff. So, we get to see more of Haruka in this episode. For me, anyway, I didn't see much of Sailor Neptune, but I did see a little bit of her, but she keeps running into Mamoru, really. So in the 90s, they really didn't run in much to the other scouts and Mamoru. In the 90s, Amara and Michelle, aka Haruka and Michiru, kind of kept doing their own thing. They kind of stayed out of the way. They only didn't come into really telling them who they were until, I think, episode 103, I think, when Sailor Venus was the target. So that happened in the 90s versus now. So, and also in Crystal, Haruka is asking Michiru kind of what's going on, what do you see? And she told Haruka, "I see ripples in the water," or something like that. So that's kind of different. She kind of, in the 90s, she'd always say, like, the water's rising, the water's calm today, whereas in Crystal, she's saying, "I see ripples, I can see people's past through the mirror," so that's kind of different. Also, in Crystal for Act 28, we see Rai go to a mountain and train, versus in the 90s, Sailor Jupiter did that. She trained for martial arts with an old bald-headed teacher, and we don't see the teacher there. We just, we're told that that Rai goes there to kind of clear her mind and spirit, and everyone joins her to celebrate her birthday. And of course, Mako makes the cake. And at night when the girls are at the retreat, they hear noises. So Mars and Jupiter go, or I think either Mars or Venus or Mars and Jupiter go to check it out. When the other girls wake up, they notice that Sailor Mars and Sailor Jupiter are not asleep. So they go and check on them. So in the 90s, they didn't really do that. The mountain kind of attack happened in season 1. So that's kind of different. And it happens in the S arc for the crystal. So anyway, Eugeo has some Mugen students hypnotized, and she's kind of reading off some Mugen rules to kind of keep them under hypnosis, whereas they didn't have the students hypnotized for Mugen school until the final part of season 3. So that's different. So when a fireball is headed towards Sailor Mars and Sailor Jupiter, Sailor Mercury shows up and gets rid of it. So that happens in Crystal, versus in the 90s, it didn't. So Sailor Moon comes, and she uses her Spiral Heart Moon Rod again, and this time she destroys Eugeo. So the Deathbusters, which is 5, are dying quickly. Also in the Crystal, Hotaru has more panic attacks, and Dr. Tomo shows up, so we see him, and he gives Hotaru a crystal necklace type of thing, and he tells her, this will help you sleep, and this will help you, relax. And he asks her, did you take the medicine? She says yes, but she tells him it's not helping anymore. So that's different. And so that happened in the 90s, whereas that happened in Crystal, but in the 90s, when Hotaru would pass out, she would just pass out and go home. She wasn't given like a little necklace type of thing to kind of control her sickness. So that was different. Also, in Crystal, what else do I want to say? I had it, just lost it. Oh yeah, Sailor Moon sees Sailor Uranus kind of fly away, so she chases her. And this is different. When she finally catches up to her, she tells him, she doesn't say much, and then Sailor Uranus says some stuff, and she kisses Sailor Moon. Yes, I'm not kidding. That actually happened, both in the Crystal and in the manga. Versus in the 90s, she never kissed Usagi. Also, I'll touch on this real quick. In Crystal, they were doing judo, a judo class for the Mugen school, and so the girls kind of stumble upon it and see Haruka, and Mako go at it, and Haruka beats Mako, which is different because in the 90s they don't do that. They don't do the judo class. So that's kind of different. And let's see what else I want to touch on before I wrap it up. Well, yeah, like I said, back to the kissing thing. So yeah, in this one, Sailor Uranus and Sailor Moon kiss, and Sailor Moon's kind of like, I only kiss Mamoru. I don't kiss anyone else. So she's kind of shocked at this. And that is where Act 28, Ripples, leaves off. I will see you all next week for Act 29. So there you go, everyone. That is my review for Act 28, Ripples. See you later, Moonies. Bye-bye. And again, like always, if I forget something, please let me know in the comments so I can add it to the next video. Bye-bye.